Welcome to a day unlike any other. A day in which data powers your world, impacts every part of your life, fuels every sector, and drives forward every idea. As we face global change, data is your compass for navigating a world evolving at breakneck speed. A world transformed by rapid technology revolutions, shifting market landscapes, and the urgent challenges posed by climate change and global instability. In this era of exponential growth, where artificial intelligence and quantum computing redefine the possible, Veeam stands at the convergence of protection, recovery, and potential. Veeam isn't just keeping up, Veeam is setting the pace, leading the rapid evolution of data across every sector. As your ally in building an organization that doesn't just survive, but thrives, resilient, ready for any eventuality, priming your data to propel you forward with seamless, clean, definitive recovery, no matter what happens. We're committed to data freedom, empowering you to manage your data exactly as you see fit. Secure, owned by you, always available, no matter when and where it's needed. Veeam is pioneering the frontier of AI resilience, where data is not just protected, but predictive, continually enhancing its own protection. As our communities, technologies, and businesses converge here today, we celebrate the power of coming together to share, learn, and push the boundaries of what's possible. Welcome to VeeamON 2024. The future of data freedom, data security, and data intelligence starts here.
Please give a warm welcome to the Chief Information Officer for the City of Fort Lauderdale, Tamika McKay.
Welcome to my city. Welcome to Greater Fort Lauderdale. On behalf of the 31 communities part of the Greater Fort Lauderdale area, we extend our warmest regards and thank you for visiting our beautiful city. Once strictly known as a tourism capital, Fort Lauderdale is now a dynamic economic hub supporting a diverse number of industries, including aviation, technology, finance, marine, tech, and with no state tax, average 77-degree temperature year-wide, it's no wonder it's ranked as the best business climate in the United States of America. Not just the spring break central USA, but many corporations call Fort Lauderdale their headquarters, including regional headquarters, including Microsoft, Citrix, UKG, Amazon, and most recently, person who calls Fort Lauderdale home, the internationally known soccer phenom, Lionel Messi. How many soccer fans out there? Or should I say football? Our Port Everglades, one of the largest seaports in the world, brought in $109 billion in trade. Our diverse community with over 90 languages make Fort Lauderdale a welcoming community for people from all over the world. The downtown Fort Lauderdale area is on its way to making Florida the 14th largest economy in the world. But you know what? We hope you get to enjoy our 24 miles of golden sand beaches, try the water taxi, and explore 300 miles of inlet waterways. Check out our vibrant and thriving cultural and art scene, or check out our natural resources like our coral reefs. But make sure you enjoy Fort Lauderdale. It gives me absolute pride and joy to introduce Veeam CEO Anand Eswaran.
Very much. Good morning, VeeamON. How are we doing? Love the energy. This is the 10th VeeamON for us. That's a big milestone. Tamika, thank you for the warm welcome to your city. That's
welcome.
amazing. You know, in case everyone is wondering, why did Tamika open the show? You know, Tamika is not only an awesome customer as the CIO of the city of Fort Lauderdale, she was also a customer as the CIO of Broward County Public Schools, educating over 250,000 students, kids, and 100,000 adults. Did I get those numbers right? So give it up to Tamika Williams. Thank you so much for your support. We thought, you know, we always talk about customer first. And so we actually thought, let's actually do customer first. How cool is it to have an awesome customer and the CIO of this city open VeeamON for us? Tamika, those are some cool shoes.
Thank you.
You know, it's, for anyone who knows me, my personality is a little different, but it's awesome. You know, and the cool thing is this, B Street Shoes, which designs this for us, they actually come up with a lot of designs. And you, all of you here, crowdsource and help us pick the final choice, which actually makes it way to the annual Veeam Kick unveil at VeeamON. So it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of you, some of you are going to win it, not a lot of you. Some of you are going to win these shoes, and I'll tell you how. The Lab Wars, which is the crowd favorite, which happens here, the top 3 scorers here in Fort Lauderdale and the top virtual online scorer actually win a pair. So go compete, and I'll talk to you about Lab Wars in just a second. So coming back, Tamika, you've been a CIO across many organizations for a long time. So talk to us about it. You know, share with us, what is the scope of your team here at the city of Fort Lauderdale as a CIO?
Sure. The City of Fort Lauderdale Information Technology Services Department supports the entire technology ecosystem for the City of Fort Lauderdale. We have about 3,000 employees. We have about 77 IT workers, and we cover everything from public safety, public utilities, body-worn cameras. We support the airport. We have a very large technology footprint.
That's awesome. So you support almost 200,000 citizens, making sure they have access to all the city services 24/7. So what are the challenges? I mean, that's a big responsibility. What are the challenges you face?
Yeah, it is a big responsibility. It's a large footprint. I would say that most of our challenges can be summed up into 3 pillars: cybersecurity, modernization, and human capital.
That's awesome. You know, you had a crazy flash flood last year, and that had a huge impact. I think, you know, you had more rain than you've had in like 100 years in Fort Lauderdale. So how did you deal with it? In fact, I remember your quote, Tamika. You actually said, "Never let a crisis go waste." So how did you deal with it, and what did you do to capitalize on this crisis?
Absolutely, absolutely. It was actually a 1 in 1,000 year flood. We woke up April 12th, 2023. It was a normal day. It was predicted to be 3 inches of rain. Fast forward 6 hours later, we had over 26 inches of rain in a 5-hour period. It devastated our community. We had over 600 rescue calls. We were bringing people out of their windows with waist-high water. Our city hall was devastated. Our basement floor, which is where our HVAC, electrical system, and elevator system was stored, received 8 feet of water. So although our data center, which was on the 6th floor, was sound, we had a building with no power, no elevator, and no AC. So we immediately had to put a plan together for an emergency data center evacuation right in the middle of transformation and modernization. And we leveraged that opportunity. We're still displaced. We had to find locations for over 700 employees, and we're still dealing with it now. But we leveraged the opportunity to bring awareness to the importance of disaster recovery, business continuity, and the alignment that needs to take place between IT professionals in the business. No longer can IT be over here and business over here. Data is arguably one of the most valuable assets of an organization, and our job is to protect it. But the business has to determine the level of risk, the level of investment in technology, how long can they afford to be down, how much data can they lose. And as IT professionals, we have to convey that in business terms, because explaining an RPO and an RTO to a finance director doesn't go very well.
Wow, so you said RTO and RPO first. I mean, mark that, that's amazing. You know, before, when you were the CIO of the city of Broward County Public Schools.
Enterprise manager.
Yeah, and so you had a massive ransomware attack, and then
Yes.
so I would like to believe that disasters don't follow you, but you're somehow miraculously sent to be the person who actually fixes that. So talk to us about that as well, because that must have been pretty
Yes.
painful. I mean, that's the largest ransomware attack on public schools in this country.
Yeah, Broward County Public Schools, 6th largest school district in the nation. And again, another warm, pleasant, normal Sunday. I'm in church and I get a text message, hey, something's going on. Fast forward 24 hours, we were attacked by ransomware. We later found out that the bad actors were actually on our system for 6 months prior.
Wow.
They waited until 6 months to launch the attack. But what we did was we never closed schools, we never paid the ransom, and we were able to restore about 90% of our systems within a 3 to 4 day period, leveraging help from an outside vendor, but most importantly, leveraging Veeam. Had we not had Veeam, which we had just implemented that year before, we would have probably had to shut down schools, and who knows, who would have known what the impact would have been.
That is huge. That is huge. That deserves a round of applause, doesn't it? Given all your first-hand experience, Tamika, what advice would you give all the people here as they go back? What can they take away from your wealth of experience?
I would say there's a few things that they could take back. One is an ounce of prevention is cheaper than a pound of cure. The other thing I would say is, as IT professionals, we're geeks, we love our toys, we love our technology, but at the end of the day, the business doesn't care about it, it cares about outcomes. Nobody cares about the gadget that's in the emergency vehicle. What they care about is that gadget was able to communicate to the doctors at the hospital so that stroke patient was able to get immediate care and therefore improve their survival rate of a stroke victim. So getting out of the technology and understanding the business outcome, the organizational goals, and being able to translate technology into the business language, because we can't do it alone. We have to partner with our business, we have to speak their language, and we have to get them engaged in disaster recovery and business continuity. So my advice would be, learn the business, build the relationships, take advantage of disasters from other organizations, and speak the business language.
Wonderful. Tamika, thank you for being here. Your city is wonderful, and I'm sure everybody here is going to have a lot of fun. Thank you for being an awesome customer, and most importantly, thank you for being such a great advocate. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Isn't she something? In fact, you know, we didn't get much time here, but I always learn something from Tamika every time I talk to her. Not just about, you know, being the CIO, but just life lessons. I mean, she's amazing. So what a great start to VeeamON. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview for what's coming this morning and what's coming in the next couple of days. We have a packed agenda. In fact, we have more demos this VeeamON than we've ever done in our 10-year history. And I'm sure that's going to make a lot of difference for you here. We have over 70 breakout sessions. We have over 30 for people who are watching us and listening to us virtually online. There's 8 hands-on sessions in Veeam Village. And if you haven't seen Veeam Village, please check it out. It's on the first level. It's a great fun space to meet, connect. Check out the data freeze sculpture. And if you don't know what I mean, go to VeeamON Village to check the data freeze ice sculpture. And tomorrow, I'm hoping many of you join us in the morning to actually build crisis care kits for United Way as part of Veeam Cares. Don't miss the Solutions Expo in the second level. Solutions, innovative ideas coming to life with our sponsors, with our partners, with Veeam experts. Don't miss the hands-on labs, whiteboarding sessions with Veeam experts, and many more to help you test drive the latest Veeam solutions. And it's actually labs for all levels. Lab Wars, the only way for now, today and tomorrow, to actually win a pair of these cool Veeam kicks. But it's the crowd favorite. It's the ultimate Veeam competition. It gets you connecting. It gets you problem solving. You race against the clock to fix your company challenges and get to the right levels of RPO and RTO. Who is going to be the top Veeam engineer across the next couple of days? We'll find out. And make sure you're downloading the latest app, because that's your window into all the schedules, the sessions, the announcements which are streaming in live throughout the next couple of days. And for our 15,000 online attendees, welcome. Welcome to VeeamON. And please use the live chat function. Ask any questions you have. We'll make sure that there's someone who's always there guiding you through the process. So before we dive in, I want to stop, pause, and thank our sponsors, because we deeply appreciate your partnership. VeeamON is not possible without your support. And I specifically also want to call out our diamond sponsors, Exagrid, Lenovo, Microsoft, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and AWS. Our partners are the foundation of Veeam. And so I just want to pause for a second and say thank you to our partners and thank you to all the sponsors who make VeeamON possible. A big round of applause to all of you. And this is my favorite event of the year, where we get a chance to spend time with our Veeam community, our customers, our partners, our analysts, our influencers. Our influencers are the MVPs, the legends, the vanguards. In fact, did you know that 99.4% of all questions on the Veeam community forums are actually answered by you, our influencers and our community, not employees? That's the power of Veeam's community. I am so deeply thankful to all of you. Your support, all our influencers, your support is our tailwind. So let me start today's keynote with a little bit of context. I'm going to spend some time setting the stage with a frame, and then we're going to spend the latter half of this focused on demos and new product announcements. So let me start today with a little bit of context. There are 4 structural trends which are rapidly changing our industry and actually making all of your jobs really hard. The first is the explosion of data. In this digital age, every company is now a software business. It's creating massive amounts of data, and it's exploding that every single year. For example, Rolls-Royce, which you think about as a company which manufactures products, now sells their aircraft engines as a service. It's based on the data from the IoT sensors on all of these engines, which they harvest to actually offer the engine as a service. They do not sell it as a product anymore back to the airlines. Data is the currency of every business, no matter which industry you belong to. The second, increasing infrastructure complexity. With multiple clouds, multiple endpoints, multiple geographic locations, managing and protecting this data is extremely complex. If your infrastructure goes down, so does your data. And if your data goes down, so does your business. You can't have that. The third, vendor lock-in. Vendor lock-in into one platform or technology is an increasing problem. If you change any part of your tech stack, whether it's driven by a common refresh or it's driven by aggressive price increases, you need the ability to move your data easily to the new application. For example, just as an example, if you want to move from vSphere to Hyper-V or Nutanix or Proxmox, which I'm sure no one is thinking of, you need an easy button to move your data along with that VM change. And the fourth trend is one of absolutely increasing volume and sophistication of ransomware, because your data is important and your data is being targeted. In fact, according to our internal report, Ransomware Trends Report, 75% of companies experienced at least one ransomware attack in the last 12 months. And a quarter of them experienced 4 or more. And by the way, paying a ransom doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you're going to get your data back. 25% of them reported losing their data even after paying. And the volume and sophistication of cyber attacks is increasing, and we're going to talk about it. It's creating crippling business impact. And all of this can be summarized in a very simple way. The world runs on data. Every business runs on data. And regardless of reason, and there's many I just shared, if that data is unavailable, the world stops. Every business stops. Your world stops. And so you need to protect that data. Every company needs to make sure that the data is always available whenever and wherever it is needed. And we call this data resilience. And Veeam's purpose is to power data resilience for you, keeping every business and the world always running. And for Veeam, it's been a relentless journey for 17 years. A journey where finally we surpassed Dell as the undisputed #1 by market share at the end of 2023. That is thanks to you. And it's not just #1 in global share. It was actually this is what makes it more special. It's #1 in secure recovery with 5x faster speeds. It's #1 in data portability. It's #1 in protecting Microsoft 365 with over 20 million users. It's #1 in Kubernetes, or #1 in Gartner Magic Quadrant's ability to execute, now actually 4 years in a row. And you, our customers, our partners, our legends, our MVPs, our vanguards, are the reason we are #1. So I'm going to do something really quick here. Can I ask all the Veeam employees to please stand up in the crowd? All the Veeam employees. On behalf of Team Veeam, let's give a warm, huge round of applause to all our customers, partners, legends, for your support, for your advocacy, and for your business. Thank you. And the journey to #1 has allowed us to exceed 1.5 billion in ARR as we finish Q1 at the end of March with 30% margins, serving over 550,000 customers of every size in 150 countries. And that is also in part due to our 34,000 plus active partners. They are the reason we have this unparalleled global reach. And I sincerely thank all our partners for how they've been with us in this journey, and we're just getting started. So what does it mean for a company to achieve data resilience? Veeam looks at resilience across these 5 pillars: data backup, data security, recovery, freedom, and intelligence. The first is backup. Backup data is the first target of a ransomware attack 96% of the time. You have to make sure it's clean, it's locked down, it's immutable, it's air-gapped. You have it so you can actually recover from it. Data security is about making sure that your data is protected in a true zero-trust architecture with many security table stakes like MFA and end-to-end encryption, but also many proactive security measures like threat scanning and threat detection. Data recovery is about making sure that if your business is disrupted for whatever reason, like Tamika just talked to us about, you can recover it instantly to anywhere with no data loss and with no reinfection. Data freedom is about the ability to freely move your data whenever, wherever you want, and however you want it, based on your business need and your business strategy, and making sure that the data is not locked in with any one vendor, any one platform, any one technology, or even any one location. And data intelligence, we look at it as 3 things: making your products better, making sure you have insights around your entire data estate, and making it really easy and productive and effective for your users. And Veeam's platform and services starts to bring data resilience to life, and these 5 pillars are the foundation of our approach. And in the upcoming slides, I'm going to dive into a small percent of the stack of these 5 pillars and the rest of the stack, on things we just do better than anyone else in the industry. But before I dive into these 5 pillars, let me start with Veeam's broad workload coverage, which many of you know really well. Because we protect every environment, physical, virtual, hybrid. We protect any application, every major cloud, SaaS apps, containers. And you'll hear about many more new workload announcements here today. And you can expect that this workload launches and product roadmaps will continue to accelerate as we go across the year. So let me start with data backups, which is the foundation of data resilience. Veeam is the only vendor to offer 4-in-1 backup methods, like host-based backup and replication, storage-based snapshots, storage-based vaulting and replication integrations, or continuous data protection, all of whom are super critical. Sure Backup gives you the confidence. Remember, almost half of data is corrupted after you recover them. Sure Backup makes sure that your backups are 100% recoverable by automatically verifying them and testing them in an isolated copy of your production environment. Now, Veeam has a lot of performance optimizations. I can't even go through all of them, but some of them, like built-in WAN acceleration, backup from storage snapshots, which is patented, forever incremental backups, or BitLooker for skipping your unnecessary data when you go through the process of backup, which is also patented. Immutability everywhere. It protects backups against ransomware and tampering and makes sure that they are unchangeable across storage platforms, whether it's on-premise or on the cloud. Veeam truly brings together the most comprehensive backup capabilities. Next up, data security. Now, I'm going to highlight Veeam's leadership in threat detection, which is a part of data security, because we are the only one to offer both antivirus and Yara scanning for backups. Most companies just offer one option. And Veeam's unique AI-powered malware detection scans backups during the backup process. We call it inline ransomware scanning. Unlike other vendors, we do not require post-backup scanning, or worse, some of them actually need you to upload your data to a different cloud, which is absolutely horrible. Now, Veeam's file system anomaly analysis proactively detects and alerts on suspicious file activity patterns. This is critical because this is how you get to be proactive and identify potential ransomware attacks before they can cause a lot of damage. Our incident APIs, they enable real-time, bi-directional communication with the ecosystem of security monitoring tools. And we'll talk to you about the ecosystem shortly, but it extends our threat detection capabilities. Now, data recovery is everything, isn't it? Because cyber breaches, no matter what you do, it allows you to get to the right posture so you mitigate risk, but it's all about recovery, the ability to recover instantly without data loss, without time loss. Veeam revolutionized recovery with our patented Instant Restore for VMs back in 2010. Enabling rapid recovery, we can get it done by instantly booting our virtual machines or other workloads, depending on what you're protecting, directly from backup files, absolutely eliminating downtime. And Veeam continues to lead with capabilities like Secure Restore to prevent reinfection, or automated recovery orchestration, which is critical. Over 105 recovery scenarios and unmatched recovery speed. Now, Veeam's approach to data freedom is critical for powering data resilience. Our unique portable data format enables all of you, our customers, to recover and restore your data to wherever it needs to be. You know, in ransomware attacks, you often cannot restore it back to the original location because it's locked down, the threat is ongoing, there's law enforcement intervention, you just can't do it. We allow you to quickly and safely restore it to alternative locations, like a different public cloud or a completely different technology platform, unlike many solutions where you need to restore it back to the original environment. And beyond cyber attacks, numerous scenarios can disrupt business operations. You may be forced to change your tech platform, and your data cannot be held hostage. You cannot be locked in. This ultimate flexibility is what we call data freedom. And finally, on the 5 pillars, let me touch on data intelligence, our 5th pillar. Now, in an industry where hype often overtakes reality, AI has broken all records. And it's understandable because it's bringing in a huge revolution with data. At Veeam, we leverage AI from two perspectives. First, we are infusing AI into our products to deliver better data resilience for you. I previously talked about how Veeam's AI-powered threat detection, malware detection, is setting the industry standard. Our digital assistant, digital assistant, is actually powered by a LLM, a large language model. It not only makes every user productive on our Veeam platform, it also gets you the right backup security and recovery best practices. We launched intelligent diagnostics as part of VeeamON back in V10, before AI was cool. Now, VeeamON continuously learns using a machine learning model from the massive database of known config issues, and it proactively fixes them before they become a problem. Now, secondly, as I look across AI, we also are working on pioneering insights from the data you back up. We are going to launch Veeam's AI Copilot today, and we'll go through a demo shortly in a co-innovation partnership with Microsoft. We have had an extensive AI roadmap, which you will see come to fruition as we go through the next couple of years. From protecting AI itself, the large language models create massive amounts of data, and they need to be protected, all the way to creating deep insights from your immutable data backups with long history. Now, outside of the 5 pillars, security is at the heart of Veeam's platform design. Zero trust architecture is at the core. Because to achieve true zero trust in data security, we have to have a few principles, but the foundational principle is assume that you have been breached. And to minimize impact when you're breached, zero trust data resiliency architectures requires you to physically separate different components, like software and hardware, because that's how you minimize the attack surface, that's how you contain the blast radius, and that is the core of Veeam's architecture. Now, this software-defined storage-agnostic architecture truly helps customers get to that zero-trust data resiliency posture, but the reality is we also know that having an integrated appliance which flouts every principle of zero-trust data resilience is easy. Some customers just want it. So recently, Veeam also soft launched for public preview a secure cloud data management solution that enables every customer to maintain their zero trust compliancy, but still have an appliance-like experience. Introducing Veeam Vault. This is our cloud data management solution. And here, if you think about Veeam's best practice, the industry always said 3-2-1. We say 3-2-1-1-0, which is 3 different copies, backup copies on 2 different media, 1 offsite, 1 air gap, and 0 verified errors on the ability to recover your backup. Veeam Vault provides that easy button, that easy option. It gets you an offsite immutable copy. It's also air-gapped. And our technology ensures that you have 0 recovery errors, extending these best practices of 3-2-1-1-0 to all of you, to all of our customers. We are also integrating or adding an easy button within our platform so you can automatically connect to Veeam Vault as a zero-trust data resiliency option. Expect to have the full GA of Vault sometime later this summer. Now I'm going to bring it all back together to the topic of cybersecurity and ransomware, because that is top of mind for every one of you and every CIO and CXO, as we heard from Tamika. Veeam offers complete end-to-end ransomware protection and recovery for every one of you. And I already talked about our approach to prevention, protection, threat detection, our patented recovery, which is 5x faster than your pre-Veeam solution. But our acquisition of Coveware brings in more patented technology. It brings in the industry-leading incident response capabilities to all of you, and we're going to double-click on this. It brings the strongest commercial database of ransomware attack signatures. All of this is to make sure that we are with you should you get breached. And this comes together with Veeam's CyberSecure program, which is a way to bring all of these security things together to make it proactive, not just reactive. Veeam's CyberSecure helps you through the entire life cycle of data security, pre-incident, during incident, and post-incident. In fact, we are so confident of our ability to protect your data that we have been offering up to a $5 million warranty for data recovery expenses as part of cybersecure. No other vendor in this market provides this level of complete support for enterprise data resilience, period. Unlike some, we do not pretend to be an end-to-end security company because nobody can. Veeam integrates with many key partners across the SecOps landscape, and we have more coming. In fact, Anton is going to share a few new ones when he comes up. These integrations truly allow you to integrate Veeam into your broader security stack. So how does this platform translate into products and services for you to use? We believe in customer choice and meeting you where you are with flexible delivery models. So you can consume our data resilience platform and services as a software subscription, self-managed, or as BaaS. And if you pick BaaS, you have two options. You can use our wonderful VCSPs, our Veeam Cloud Service partners who are here, or through the Veeam Data Cloud. Speaking of Veeam Data Cloud, we launched VDC. We call Veeam Data Cloud VDC. We launched VDC in February this year, starting with Microsoft 365 and Azure Protection. Great early traction. Our roadmap extends all software workloads to VDC and introduces new cloud-based services as well, like e-discovery, archiving, AI analysis, compliance. And this is one of my favorite slides, and I'm not going to read through all of these, but what I wanted to share here was all the capabilities shown on this are just those pioneering innovations that Veeam was the first, not all the innovations, but Veeam was the first to bring to market, many of which have become industry standards, like instant VM recovery. And if you look across all our customer forums, there's one phrase which shines through: it just works. And that is a reflection of the stellar Veeam engineering team. They focus on innovation, but as importantly, they focus on product quality. And that is why I am so bullish, and why you, all of you here, should feel so great about your bet on Veeam. So with that frame, I'm going to now get together. Are you ready to get into some demos and new product announcements? All right. I know this crowd loves some good demos. So we have 3 sections of demos and announcements coming up. So I'm just going to set the stage. First up, we dive into demos and news on data backup, recovery, and freedom across these 3. Second, we dive into demos and news on data security. And finally, we end with demos and news on data intelligence. And what better way to start this than starting with a customer view? Can we roll the video, please?
I'm Darren Warner, the Head of Technology at McGrath Estate Agents. McGrath Estate Agents is a full-services real estate company in the residential sector primarily. We operate across the east coast of Australia with 135 locations across Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. One of the challenges at McGrath was the considerable rate of data growth, combined with an aging infrastructure platform. For that reason, we made a decision to move to cloud, Microsoft Azure being that cloud of choice. What we really needed was an application that coupled tightly with Microsoft, and Veeam Data Cloud is that product. We really love working with Veeam Data Cloud for Microsoft 365 and Azure. 1, because it's so easy to deploy, so easy to work with. 2, because it scales as we grow, and it provides us a predictable cost model going forward so that we know exactly where we stand. We've saved in excess of 6 figures using Veeam over the last 12 months. From staffing costs to storage costs to networking costs, there's been some considerable savings that we've made as a result of moving to Veeam. We have a fairly small infrastructure team at McGrath. We don't have anyone dedicated to managing day-to-day backups. And that's really something that's been key for us in moving towards Veeam. We know with confidence, if there's ever an incident where we need to bring the data back, it's always there and always available for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Darren, for sharing your story. And I love the McGrath story because it perfectly captures the value of the Veeam Data Cloud. It's easy to deploy, it scales with your business, it gives you a predictable cost model, But my favorite part was about how Darren shaved that they saved well over 6 figures in 12 months by adding protection for Azure with Microsoft 365. That's a great outcome. But I'm also delighted that Darren is actually here at VeeamON live. So find him, talk to him. I'm sure he has many more insights to offer on McGraw's story. Now it's my pleasure to introduce 2 Veeam leaders you all know very well. One of them has been with the company for 16 years, and the other has been with the company for 14 years. And they have all been the heart and soul of every VeeamON since the inception. So please give it up for Anton Gostev, our Chief Product Officer, and Ricketron Vanover, our Vice President of Product Strategy. Awesome. You know, I've talked about data changing the world. It is really a different world when the CEO is dressed in a T-shirt and slacks, and we have a product guys in suits and ties, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anton, you're live here after 5 years, man. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, the level of commitment from the R&D team, from product strategy team is unbelievable this year to make it a success, both of the 2 days. I mean, look, we even matched the haircuts.
I know.
So, yeah.
It is.
It's a
You know,
personal
you know what I
commitment.
say? I say God made a few perfect heads, the rest he covered up with hair.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Rick, 14 years at Veeam. How do you feel?
I'm stoked. I treat every day like it's my first day at Veeam, and I'm so happy. This VeeamON, between the 2 general sessions, friends, most demos ever. I know you're going to like it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's dive in, guys. All right. You know, as I shared earlier, we're going to start with this combination of backup, recovery, and freedom. Data freedom is not just about data mobility during recovery. It's about making sure that you can make your data not be stuck in, not be locked in with any vendor. And it also holds true as you go through your app modernization journey. So, Rick, why don't I stop talking and yield the floor to you to show how we do this at Veeam?
Well, yeah. Well, what we're going to do here is we are going to do a data freedom drill. And basically, I'm going to show you 10 virtual machines that started their day, there they are. They started their day as VMware virtual machines, one of the big conditions that we have in this world right now. But they're going to end their day on Azure Stack HCI. And this is technology, Anton, we've had in market since 2016. What I'm going to do is I'm going to instantly recover all 10 of these at once. No special hardware requirements. I'm starting with the ZTDR Zero Trust data resiliency, double play immutable configuration, ready for when I want to move. And basically, I'm going to take, and if you ever do a bunch of these, Control A will allow you to select all of these at once. I've got 2 Azure Stack HCI hosts. I'm going to choose the bigger one because I know it'll work. And basically, I'm going to recover all of these instantly to Hyper-V, Azure Stack HCI, and migrate them over. Now, one thing that's really interesting, this is where you can select the networking. Right now, they're not connected. Watch this, Control A again. This is going to feel real familiar to things like P2V conversions 20 years ago. I'm going to put them all on one virtual switch in Azure Stack HCI, but you can change that if you'd like. I can also change the name. Those of you familiar with an image-based recovery have seen that before. I'm mixing Windows and Linux. I should have about 6 of them that need to be with a conversion. And that really comes down to the file system, if I'm right, Anton, with the conversion of this. Not our problem today, but it will be later. I have a situation where I could also scan to make sure that the contents of these systems that I'm restoring are free of malware. And just like that, I'm able to, from the data under management by Veeam, instantly convert these over to Azure Stack HCI. But I want to draw your attention to something pretty important. Azure Stack HCI Hyper-V, you might not have the same level of management, right? I want to draw your attention to VeeamON, part of the Veeam data platform. Answering questions like IOPS, that's kind of hard to do if you don't have a tool. Anton, what's it been? 10 plus years that we've been monitoring this stuff. So this is refined technology in market. And the other thing I want to draw your attention to is the Veeam Recovery Orchestrator. There, we have recovery plans that can also do this on an orchestrated scale to Azure. So maybe if Azure Stack HCI isn't the target today, we have the way to take any Azure, any image-based backup to Microsoft Azure VMs on an orchestrated workflow with our Veeam Recovery Orchestrator. So the Veeam Data Platform has you covered onesie, twosie, or on scale for sure. All right, now this is my Azure Stack HCI, and just in that time, those 10 systems are starting to power up and become inventoried in here, okay? Now, one thing I want to highlight, if you do look at migration technologies with Veeam, again, these are coming from the image-based backup, powering up onto Azure Stack HCI. One really important thing, the MAC address stays the same. So if you built some tricky networking, that is going to go with it. But the other thing to note is that you also can change it, obviously. I talked to organizations who have done a lot of these types of conversions. They're getting into the business of a staging cluster, maybe moving them to another Azure Stack HCI or Hyper-V host, and you're on your way. One thing I want to highlight here is that if you go through, you will see that a number of them will soon power on. You'll see the Windows screen come up. The last thing I want to highlight, a lot of people talk about these migrations. I want to do it with zero data loss. Well, good news. I think since 2008, we've been able to back up image-based virtual machines while they're powered off. Do an incremental backup while it's powered off. You can easily move this over to a new hypervisor. And again, this is just the Azure Stack HCI example. If I draw your attention to some other image-based backups down here, those of you who saw the malware, we're going to come back to that. I also can put this over to VMware vSphere, but also to the hyperscale public clouds and Nutanix. So that data freedom story is absolutely real, refined, iterated technology, and it's ready to go for the different workloads that we have today. One of these will be ready to go with a Windows login screen, I'm pretty sure. There it is, I know that it is. All right, just like that, Anand and Anton. I've moved all these over, zero data loss in that much time. Oh, most important thing. Anybody from support knows you have to do this. You have to migrate to production. This is the one thing with our instant recovery technology that people forget, and I almost forgot it. You gotta. How many people have done that? Forget to migrate it from. Yeah, I saw some hands. Got to migrate it back to the production storage. That closes the loop.
That's awesome. You know, Rick is just a master at this. That's cool.
Yeah.
So if you want to just lift and shift from your existing systems, Veeam is absolutely great for it. Now, data freedom is not just about product. It's also how we do business. And it's the critical reason we actually introduced the Veeam Universal License, or VOL. So every time you change your platform, your application, your infrastructure, Veeam doesn't trigger a new license process or change or create more pain. We make it easy for you. So Veeam, Anton, talk to us about, so what's coming? Talk to us about recent news. Talk to us about what are you launching? And maybe I can push you to say something you don't even want to say.
Yeah.
How about that?
Right. Thanks, Anand. Yeah, continuing the topic of VM backup, right? Let's just, let me remind you all that you probably know Veeam has started as a VM backup, as a vSphere backup specifically, and since then we always kept our focus on expanding support for hypervisors because we want to meet the customers and understand where they are. Even today, already we support 6 hypervisors, and that's host-level backup only, folks. We support any hypervisor because we also have agents, right? But these are host-level exclusively. 5 of them are supported with Veeam Backup Application, and Red Hat OpenShift Virtualization is supported by our Veeam for Custom offering. And for that, on top of that, coming in 2024, well, one already came, that's Oracle Linux Virtualization Manager support. There is a no-cost hypervisor, right? You can download, start using it today. You can also have enterprise support with it, right, if you want to support it offering. Overall, we get more interest when they talk about OVIR KVM-based virtualization, which is Red Hat Virtualization, which is this Oracle Linux Virtualization Manager. It's mostly from enterprise customers. We have one big client that runs part of their data center, 2,000 VMs on this offering. They're very happy. Do check it out. It's available now. We released it, I believe, already close to 2 months ago. But that's not it. The other hypervisor support we're adding is Proxmox, right? For this virtualization platform, we get more interest from SMBs and service providers. We're building right in version 1 something very extremely powerful, right? So all the Veeam magic will be there in version 1. Even in early tests, for those who know Proxmox, you know there is some basic rudimentary built-in backup solution. So we just ran our first tests against it. Even before any optimizations, we're already 3 times faster than its native backup solution, right? Of course, another thing we're bringing is lots of options for immutable backups, right? You can build your own block storage. You can build your own object storage with immutability. You can acquire object storage from one of our partners. Going low end, we support natively rotated drives. That's the easiest way, the cheapest way to create air-gapped backups. Going the high end, we support natively tape. So all of these options will be available also for Proxmox. The team especially takes pride of flexibility we provide with full VM recovery options. And we're going to demo it tomorrow at the Tech Keynote live. It's not going to be a recording, but essentially, you can take pretty much any image level backup created by Veeam from any platform and restore it to Proxmox, and vice versa as well. Take a Proxmox backup and restore it back to any other virtualization platform or the cloud. And of course, a big focus on also advanced file recovery right in version 1, because this is basically 98% of all recoveries. And when you're attacked by ransomware, it's very important you can quickly identify, change deleted files, with one click restore them all. So that's hypervisors, but again, even if Veeam started as a VM backup solution, we kept expanding to other workloads, right? Oh, by the way, it's coming in Q3, right? And this is just a list of workloads we support today. The goal of this slide is obviously to overwhelm you, but let me pick it apart, right? So top left, Microsoft 365 and Salesforce, SaaS, our fastest growing products ever. We put lots of focus on enterprise workloads, like specifically databases on the left side, as well as Microsoft Enterprise Stack, right? When we talk about agents, we already support with agent-based backup, so it can be physical, cloud computer, any other hypervisors we don't support directly, 6 operating system families. And each of the family, there's many sub-families, so to speak. Like, for example, for Linux, we support so many distributions, and we just added in version 12.1.2 support for Rocky and Alma. Who likes Rocky and Alma? Right? It was very much requested. Then file shares, also the fastest growing workload within VBR today, very popular. We just added support for backing up object storage, so from object storage as a data source, also growing fast. We are the leader in Kubernetes backup. And we're really doubling down on cloud workload support. So all these AWS, Azure, Google workloads you see on the right, we already support today. How are we going to expand it this year? First, let's talk about the updates to existing workloads and how we're going to expand that. First, we just released version 7 of our Kubernetes backup. Some highlights include we're actually the first vendor to support backing up FIPS-enabled clusters. We added support for Microsoft Azure Blob Storage immutability. There's massive enhancements to OpenShift backup, and so on, available now since a couple of weeks ago. Next very big release coming is version 8 in Q3 for Microsoft 365, right? Many features. If I was to highlight one, that's, of course, scalability, enterprise scalability, folks. We tested version 7 against version 8 on 50,000 mailbox org just recently. Version 7 took 17 days. Version 7 took 11 days to do the full backup. Version 8 took 17 hours for the same org. That's incredible. It's a 15 times, folks, 15 times improvement. And that's primarily thanks to proxy pooling we support now, and proxies can also be Linux, so you don't have to waste Windows licenses on those proxies. And when it comes, everybody's going to benefit. So if you're running this on-prem, you're going to benefit. If you're using Veeam Service Provider, hosting the solution for you, you're going to benefit. If you're using Veeam Data Cloud that Anna talked about, again, you're going to benefit. It's the same code for everything, right? So big things. Again, expanding more AWS workload support with FSx and Redshift. For Azure, we're adding Cosmos DB support. And finally, we have version 3 of our Salesforce backup, with much requested data encryption, with really, really cool capability of data archiving. It's a lot to expand on, but we're going to demo that specifically tomorrow. Please comment. As well as an easy way to present that archived data to other solutions for data mining purposes, AI training, and so on. Again, we call it data pipeline. So that's just for existing workloads. We're adding 2 more workloads, native support for 2 more workloads in 2024. First one is MongoDB backup. Native support for MongoDB backup. Folks, MongoDB is essentially the leader in NoSQL database market. Easily close to 2/3 of market share for NoSQL databases is MongoDB, right? We're going to support consistent database backups without scripting that you have to use today, right? It's a very intelligent topology where we're not going to pull the same data multiple times. And team is especially proud that how they built the experience of this backup. So they took familiar concept of Ops Manager, which is basically the console MongoDBs live in, and merged it with the classic Veeam experience of protection groups, application backup policies, and so on. So it should be very easy to start using. Built directly into VBR, licensed with Wool, should be coming Q3 this year. Next workload, Microsoft Entra ID, former Azure Active Directory. Super important workload to protect, folks. Azure Directory, you know, if you've been with IT for many years, you know it's always the first target for any cyber attacks. Super important for everyone to protect. Again, our solution right in V1 will provide some very unique capabilities. It's going to be extremely fast. You will be able to schedule backups to run multiple times a day. Yet it's going to be very comprehensive, right? If you took alternative solutions, right? They are not very comprehensive. They don't really go deep. They don't collect often object properties, the relationship between objects, right? So maybe they back up even faster, but they don't back up much, right? On top of just the objects, we also provide the capability to back up sign-in and audit logs, right? Because Microsoft, I believe, only keeps them for 30 days. You'll be able to archive them for, years, if that's your requirement. And this whole solution, it's probably around the unique restore UI, right? How do you restore? And that's not your classic restore when you talk about directories, right? The key there is to identify the changes and be able to quickly roll them back, right? So again, some pretty cool capabilities, including very uniquely on the market, we'll have a sort of native RBAC that's based on native Entra ID capabilities, right? So it's not like almighty account is going to be there in the app and somebody will be able to mess up your Active Directory by accidentally restoring something they don't have access to. Now we protect against that. Again, built in directly into VBR, licensed with Veeam Universal License, and that's coming Q4 this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anton,
thanks.
so, how do you normally do this? Do you, when you have these release dates, are they usually conservative and we can push you to get it released faster?
Yeah, usually they're optimistic.
It's exciting. A lot. I mean, we're just getting started on the roadmaps here.
Thank you.
And so, earlier I shared updates on VDC, Veeam Data Cloud, which we launched in February. VDC is our SaaS platform, BaaS platform for data resilience. Rick, can you give us a first-hand view into VDC?
Yeah, so this will be the second of the demos that I do today that are fully generally available. A lot of people haven't seen the Veeam Data Cloud console protecting Microsoft 365 data. I want to draw your attention to, first of all, right away. I love this. 0 unprotected users, right? So right off the bat, I know this is a great way to start my day. I also can take a look at the retention. This environment, we're targeting 7 years retention, and we are 40.8% or so of the way there. Good visibility. And then also, when we talk about this critical Microsoft 365 data, we gotta know who and how it is used. And I can see, if there is such a thing as a naughty list, I can see who's taken up the most of it. In fact, I'll even admit, in our own environment, I'm using the most of the OneDrive storage. So I know right away, that's great, but there's more. I want to also draw your attention to the self-service restore capability. Holy buckets, this is going to save some time for end users to be able to do their own OneDrive and Outlook recoveries. That's cool. And I also want to draw your attention to some of these roles. There's really good granular control on where data is recovered to. We can allow it by role or block it to be restored in by service in those different options. Really, really good stuff. And lastly, Anand, everything's logged, right? So we know who's doing restores, really good visibility. All of this is available today.
That's awesome. If your company's strategy is shifting to BaaS, you have two great choices with Veeam. Leverage Veeam Data Cloud, single pane of glass across every workload. Every workload will make its way to VDC, or use one of our trusted Veeam Service Cloud, cloud service partners, VCSPs. Now, Rick, you showed VDC for Microsoft 365. Veeam protects over 20 million users, a third of the total number of users protected, a third. That's how good the solution is, because now as we look ahead for what is there for protecting Microsoft 365, we recently announced a strategic partnership with Microsoft. Can we move to the next slide, please? We recently announced a strategic partnership with Microsoft to co-sell and co-innovate for our joint customers. So, to hear more details of what this partnership is all about, please welcome Microsoft's Corporate Vice President, Sue Page, and Veeam's own Chief Operating Officer, Matthew Bishop, up on stage. Matthew and Sue. Awesome. Good to see you.
Thanks, Anand. Good morning, VeeamON, and thank you, Sue, for joining us here today.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm delighted to be here to support our partnership and also to showcase some of this great innovation. It's been really amazing already, and we're going to see some more, I believe.
Yeah, we're really excited about the partnership, especially how much it's accelerated in the 3 months since we announced it. But to be honest, we're also excited about your role in the partnership, Sue. So tell us a bit more about what does it mean to be Corporate Vice President of the Global Demand Center?
Yeah.
What exactly do you do?
Oh, that's a good question, Matthew. So the Global Demand Center is really the digital hub for marketing at Microsoft, and it services the entire world, all of our commercial customers. We actually do all of the digital marketing, and that includes all the things you'd think of as reaching out to customers digitally. It also includes events and all of those investments we make. We also nurture all those customers globally. So it's a huge operation for the company. And we also have a whole bunch of direct businesses, as we call them, so Azure Direct and 365 Direct, and that's billions of dollars of revenue channeling through the Global Demand Center as well. So it's a big undertaking and a big set of investments for the company, and I'm part of that, and we're going to talk a little bit about our partnership and what we're going to be doing, especially to drive demand to the customer base.
Great. Now, the partnership is about innovating on VDC and Veeam Vault. And we already protect 20 million seats of Microsoft 365 in the cloud, but VDC is accelerating that more. In fact, I took a little look this morning, and so far this quarter, we're growing VDC 450% quarter on quarter. It's really accelerating our #1 position in the market.
It's amazing.
But this partnership is about two things. Co-innovation and joint go-to-market.
Yeah.
So first of all, on co-innovation, you've innovated Microsoft has, by releasing a new API for the scale, speed, backup and restore of Microsoft 365 data at scale. We're delighted to be one of your launch partners, but how's that overall going on Microsoft 365?
It's going really well. I think we talked last night about the scale that we've already developed with the offering. I think one of the things that we're really excited about is, as you were just saying, it's going to accelerate even further. So I don't know if you mentioned 20 million. I think Anand actually mentioned we're already covering M365 20 million customer base, and we believe this offering has got a lot further to go. And we were talking about aspirationally 100 million. Easily in terms of a target for this offering. So
we might even invite you back next year, Sue, if we do 100 million.
Fingers crossed. I hope so. Yeah, so we're very excited, and it's clearly you're very early to the game with this, and very, very, very good signs already.
Now, Veeam Vault is built on top of Azure, and you're innovating a lot on Azure. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so there's two strands to that. I think just in terms of Veeam Data Cloud, we believe Azure is definitely the best thing for you guys in terms of 60 availability zones, superior security, superior scalability. So that's one thing. In and of itself, Azure is fantastic partner for you and Veeam Data Services. There's another aspect to this, which we're going to get into a little bit more later with Brant, which is the huge investments we're making in AI, and I'm sure most of the folk in the room have heard of something called Copilot, which has been an enormous wave of investment and innovation for the company, and something we believe is going to transform productivity as we all know it, both individually and collectively. So that in and of itself is exciting. The other part of that, obviously, is all of the work our partners are doing in and around that space and the opportunity that's opening up. So we're very dependent on our partners and the work they're doing with us, and we'll talk a little bit about how that's opening up with some of the, for instance, the Copilot stack, which some of the work we're going to demo later is built with that. So there's two aspects to that innovation that we're very, very bullish about, I'd say, in terms of the opportunity for us all to go after. And the other thing I'd say, Matthew, is you're very early to the game. Veeam is super, super early partner developing this AI technology, this Copilot, very early, and it's already being proven to be very exciting for customers.
Exactly. We've been watching it from afar for a while, but now you've invested in us to do some great co-development. It's really exciting seeing it come to life. But the second thing the partnership is about is joint go-to-market.
Yeah.
And that's from enterprise through to scale customers. So tell us a bit about the role of the Global Demand Center for building a business together as a partnership.
Yeah. And that's where I come in specifically, which is that, as I was saying, my role and the Global Demand Center's role is reaching out to our commercial customers and generating those relationships and getting customers excited in our products and services and our partners' products and services as well. And so the opportunity here is to do some innovative work and innovative investment, I would say, around our go-to-market, our joint go-to-market. And that actually is going to span from SMB, mid-market, all the way up into enterprise. It's not specifically targeted at one segment, and we have the capability in the GDC to do that with you. And we're already talking about the specifics of that and piloting some stuff in the US in the very, very near future. So that's very exciting for us. And I think the other thing that is kind of, I'd say, gives us a flavor of where we might go on this. It's the scale that we're going after in the SMB space. But we were also talking last night about you have a target of getting 50 enterprise customers every year with this investment. So we have tangible targets, and we're really very, very optimistic and very confident that this GTM investment in innovation is going to be successful.
Yeah, it's great to see innovation, not only in tech, but also in go-to-market. And it's been tremendous to partner with you for the next 3 months, and we're really excited about what the future holds for Microsoft, Veeam, and for all of our customers and partners as well. So thanks a lot, Sue, for being with us.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having me here with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Anand.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Let's dive into data security. If you can go to that slide. As always, customers first, so let's see what Rabobank, one of the largest Dutch banks, has to say. Can we roll the video, please?
I'm Colin Chatelier. I'm the manager of storage solutions in Rabobank. Rabobank's obviously a bank. We're active in 38 countries, 41,000 employees and 9.1 million customers. We really chose Veeam because of the functionality. We was moving to the cloud, but also to virtual machines. As I talked about 10 years ago, most of the servers were physical. It was clear that everything was going towards virtual. We either needed a built for virtual solution or a built for physical twisted into the shape of a virtual solution. We really didn't want to go for the compromised end. So Veeam really seemed to be the best solution for us. With the growth of ransomware, which is not just encrypting our data, but also stealing the valuable data of our customers and invading their privacy, we really had to step up our game. So we need to be able to recover our data, but also protect their data. We implemented the encryption that Veeam gives us so that all of that data that's gathered together in a nice bundle for someone to steal is actually useless to them. It's encrypted. My favorite thing about Veeam, it's not a vendor, it's a partner.
Now, Rabobank is a great example of how our customers are evolving their business to the cloud, but not just doing that, they deeply understand and are aware of the heightened risk of ransomware because it's not just their business data, but the data of their, for Rabobank, 9.1 million customers, their customers' data. And I love Colin's closing line. He said, Veeam is not a vendor, but really a partner. And that's the essence of our approach on how we work with all of you. Thank you, Colin. You know, I talked about Veeam's focus on data security and innovations like AI-powered ransomware detection, but every morning, we wake up to more news of ransomware attacks. And the sophistication is increasing every second. Like the most recent one involving Change Healthcare, which was probably the most impactful ransomware attack so far this year in 2024. You know, Change Healthcare, if you remember, was first attacked by Black Cat, or AlphaV, that ransomware group. They demanded a large ransom, they got the large ransom, but they vanished with that money. Black Cat vanished with that money in an exit scam. And then the attackers used the Ransom Hub platform to continue the extortion. And that incident shows that the ransomware gangs are becoming more tricky, more aggressive, with multiple stages of extortion and exploitation. And while the attack on Change Healthcare was complex and sophisticated, the volume of attacks is also constantly on the increase. The latest Veeam Ransomware Trends report sort of validates the challenges we all face. 75% of organizations, as I shared, were attacked in the last year. 49% were attacked multiple times. And 96% of these attacks started with your backup repositories. And guess what? A shocking 76% of those attacks to your backup repositories were actually successful. The impact of these attacks goes well beyond just the dollars. Even post-attack closure, the teams, many of you who are dealing with it, are under incredible pressure. 45% reported increased workload. Many of you, 40% reported increased stress. 30% reported that their work-life balance has gone for a toss. Not like it was great before that, but it's become even worse. So there's a lot of good insights in the Ransomware Trends report. Please download it. It's not just about the trends. It's also about the specific steps you can take to minimize that impact. And it's also the perfect time to go back to Anton to share some of the security product launches, what's coming up on security, what's coming up on partnerships. But the one thing I want to say is when you have product announcements and product demos, we run the risk of going over. And we are going to go over today. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me. The passion of these gentlemen is going to come in and take us a little bit over the 90-minute planned line. So Anton, with a little bit of tightness, talk to us about the security roadmap.
Thanks, Anand. Just to quickly remind, these are only the features we delivered in version 12X, right, so far. Some highlights, security alliance integrations to the right, lots of them. That's a new thing to Veeam, right? We didn't do much of this before. We just released Splunk. If you're a Splunk user, check it out, right? On the left side, 12.1.2, we released a couple of weeks ago. We made our hardened repository DisaStick compatible. It's a very simple setting. When you set up Red Hat or Rocky, enable DisaStick compatibility, you have hardened repository server out of the box. Super easy, right? Last but not least, I want to highlight the serious embedded backup encryption that we introduced in 12.1. Some would argue what we did is an overkill, but it's really not, because not at a time when the market is now talking about post-quantum cryptography programs, right? And you may have heard about the attacks, the attack called Harvest Now, Decrypt Later. So the hackers who are stealing backups, they're hoping that 5 years from now, quantum computers will let them extract the data much easier, and the data will still be useful enough to hold the company hostage, so to speak, right? So we're preparing already for this, because quantum computers are not here yet, but the algorithm they would use is well known. It's Grover's algorithm, right? So we already know what to protect against. But that's actually not the only thing we're working on. We're working on something really big that will really change the game with the next major release. And how about we show it?
Yeah, we're going to show you something here, friends. So this one's for Ben in the room, by the way, Ben from New Zealand. So Anton, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, it's VBR VNext version 13, guys. And first ever time we're showing it. But overall, it looks normal, right? We see some jobs. No jobs failed, which is a good sign. This is the change, right, Rick? Developers are working on refreshing the UI. I guess they decided to start working from the bottom left and up, but it looks pretty good, right? But let's connect to the server itself and look at some of the new services we have on the box. Right?
Server name is VBR Next. So let's go ahead and jump into it.
Which is pretty. Are you guys excited to see?
You got to see this,
version
guys.
13.
Yeah. And we are doing this live. This is coming in from Europe. That's why it says 3:49 p.m. And that's why I'm hoping it works. And that's why we're doing this live. Oh, bad God. Bucket, holy bucket, wrong way.
What that might be, Rick?
Well, we got to try another way.
Okay, let's try another way.
All right, let's get into console ops, into PuTTY. And we're going to connect to VBR.next through PuTTY.
What?
What
are you telling me this is a VBR on Linux?
Yeah, I recognize those services.
How cool is that, guys?
That is awesome, guys. VBR server on Linux.
Yeah. It's coming in version 13 next year. Hey, back to the slides, please. Could we get the slides back, please? Yeah. So, very quickly, what is it? We are really building the next generation data protection platform for the enterprise, right? We're planning multiple delivery options. Maybe not all of them in the first release, but it's very important for us to provide flexibility. Veeam is all about flexibility. Maybe smaller customers want an easy button, right? They want a virtual appliance. We want to provide that. We already have bigger customers that told us, no, give us installable software. We have these hardened Linux images that are built by our security team. That's the only thing we have approved to run in our environment. Please give us installable software. Some of the storage partners that already know this is coming are very interested to build Veeam-based backup appliances, so they need a third way for us to deliver software. We want to provide all this flexibility. Also, because it's going to be like platform for the enterprise, we're planning some of the future enterprise-focused security features and capabilities to only be available on VBR on Linux, such as, for example, hardened lockdown backup server. True zero trust architecture. We're taking our current zero trust architecture to the next level. Only will be available with VBR on Linux. Features like high availability, again, will require VBR on Linux. What does it mean for VBR on Windows? It's really here to stay in foreseeable future. First, we want to make sure that all of our customers are confident about, using a Linux-based backup server. But also, really, there is like some use cases that you can't replace. For example, when you have a disaster, then your entire data center is down. And the fact that you can, in 15 minutes, install our software on a laptop and start production recoveries, this is just like so nice and so hard to give up, right? So we want to keep it for now. So that's it for my section.
That's awesome. V13 on Linux, Anton. Yeah. And you know that every day when we talk, my question is going to be, how are you bringing it back into 2024, right?
Yeah.
So a lot coming up with V13 on Linux. Rick, can you walk us, I talked about end-to-end protection for ransomware, the end-to-end data protection and recovery. Can you walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah, so friends, this is my most complicated demo of the day. And what we're looking at here is the Veeam Threat Center, part of Veeam Data Platform, and I recommend you start your day there. I know right away that A, my score went down, and B, I have some suspicious and infected restore points. I have a blast radius identified here. I need to see immediately what's going on. So this is powered by the Veeam inline malware detection, right? On the earlier demos, you might have seen the little red icon. I have 3 hits. Now, in the magic of television, I want to let you know 2 of them were from my practice, and 1 of them was from just this morning. So I want to draw your attention to the Silicon Lift system. This system has been marked as suspicious because it's detected encrypted data. Okay, so the Veeam inline malware detection, which is AI-powered, has caught something, identified it with Threat Center. I need to go in right away and see what's going on. So I'm going to go into First of all, this view that Anand showed, this is the whole map of where we are. I'm here because I've done my double play immutability, but now I have a detection. So I'm here. This is my journey through this, right? So I'm at this threat detection milestone. I'm going to go to the console of the Silicon Lift system, and something bad has happened. So I have simulated a popular threat actor. In fact, it was the one that Anand mentioned just a second ago. And if I go look into my contents and my data, here's my user documents. Every single thing has an extension. It is, in Ricatron terms, boogered up. Okay, this system is messed up. The only option I have is to look at this as what is my best course of action now? And that best course of action is to recover data. But I also need to know how far is this blast radius? I detected it here. Let me go to another system. Now, this console looks better, but I want to draw your attention to the Coveware software. Now, I'm going to run a command right here. This Coveware command generates a small bundle. This one presumably isn't impacted. I don't have that nastygram on top of the screen. But this Coveware set of commands is going to go into that data pipeline that Bill's going to talk about here in a second. And this gives me an incredible view, not just if something is really bad, but maybe if something's not bad yet. And this Coveware Recon tool, I want to highlight in some of the other Coveware technology, it's reasonable to expect to see this integrated with Veeam Data Platform in a subsequent release. Now that being said, this query takes no time at all to run, so it should finish up any second now. There it is. One more, and it should be done. But basically, it makes a bundle. And then there's a subsequent command to upload it into their data pipeline tool. It's done. And what you end up with is this wonderful view. Now, this is not my environment, but a sterilized environment from one of their incident response teams. You can see pretty clearly around 15th of May, this red peak on brute force, this is all intel. This is all intelligence because MITRE ATT&CK framework behavior jumps around, uses lateral permissions escalation, sets up logins, deploys encrypted payloads, and then exploits them. The Coveware stack is real. But how did we get there on the Veeam side, right? The inline malware detection, I want to draw your attention to this, only costs one resource, CPU. Most environments don't have that much CPU as a bottleneck, right? So I'm turning it up to 12.1 because I want this engine in place. And if you're using it in offline environments, KB4510 can show you how to get there. Now, all of that being said, the best course of action is to recover data. I do have these systems on double play object storage, but I want to highlight that once you have these icons here, we don't know what's clean, right? And so signature-based scans are effective to an extent when the payload has been deployed, and that's why I recommend the Coveware stack as a great component. Now, the scan backup, I've already done it on the Waterblade system, okay, just to save a little bit of time, and I want to highlight, when I go to Waterblade, you can see that everything was infected because I scanned backwards. But if I look at all of the other ones, you'll see that I can do a scan, and you will find a clean restore point when you scan it by range, okay? So very intuitive, very easy way to have that end-to-end resiliency. And when you get into that part of the journey, you're over here. You're into rapid clean recovery. The same recoveries that you know from Veeam, you can drive them with those scans, whether it be antivirus scan, Yara, and then also the extra intelligence that Coveware brings to it. So on a truly end-to-end recovery, and really resilient way to recover data.
Absolutely. I'm going to pick up from him. Why are you back here?
I think it's my reveal, right?
Okay, let's go for it.
Yeah. We talked about security integrations, right? And you all saw the slides earlier today, and I'm extremely happy to announce that as the next integration, we're working with Palo Alto Networks on as many as 2 integrations. Yeah. It's not a mistake that it appeared in 2 columns. We're actually working on integrating with as many as 2 different solutions from Palo Alto Networks. So if you're Palo Alto customers, it's going to be the next big thing. Thank you.
Awesome. Anton, thank you. Anton is going to step back. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.
And V13 in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah, I can promise.
All right. Thank you, Anton. You know, Rick just talked about Coveware. We added recently Coveware to the Veeam family. And as you've seen in the demo, it brings in amazing IR capabilities. And being in the middle of so many ransomware breaches and extortion negotiations, they have an incredible amount of data, insights on all the evolving, it's not static, it's all the evolving tips and tricks by the hackers. So if you haven't already, please look at their, they actually update their blogs all the time on their findings as they go through these attacks. If you haven't, please mark it, bookmark it. Incredible treasure trove of data and insights. But I also thought it would be great to hear directly from the CEO of Coveware. He's in ground zero every day. The one thing which is, you know, a certainty, and I've always talked about this, it always has been death and taxes, but now you can add ransomware to that third list of things which will always happen. Bill is in the middle of this every single day. So I'm going to have Bill come up, so please give a warm welcome to Bill Siegel, the CEO of Coveware by Veeam. Bill, come on up, mate. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Bill, you get the call, big breach, a lot of problems, and a huge cry for help. Walk us through, what do you do? How do you go about it? Everybody, I'm sure, will be fascinated to hear your perspective.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, you know, we are called into these situations every single day. Most of the time, we have never met the company before. We have no idea who the people are, and we have no idea what's going on. So very quickly, on the initial, what we call assessment, which is what we do, we're trying to understand and cross-reference two really critical things: impact and attribution. Impact is what has happened to the company. Are they operable? Are they not operable? How is it affecting their business on a day-to-day basis? We also want to get to know the team, understand like what are their capabilities, how are they feeling? Do we need to bring in more third-party outside help? So that gives a sense of how bad the situation is. The second thing I referenced is attribution. Who's the actor? Is it an actor we've dealt with before, and we can have a high degree of conviction that we can predict how an interaction is going to go, how a case is going to resolve? Or is it an actor where we have no degree of confidence that anything of value can be gleaned by even interacting with them? There's a lot of emphasis in the statistics of do you pay, do you not? The reality is early on, we're not even thinking about that. We want to tell the company, do you even bother wasting time engaging with this actor? Because for folks in the audience that have been through this, you know very well that very quickly your resources, your people are your scarcest asset during these incidents. And you don't want to waste any of that if it's not going to be useful. So very quickly, we're jumping through that process to understand what we should do next. The second step is ensuring that we're running parallel processes on containment, right? I think the statistics in the ransomware report show that like over 60% of companies don't bother with this step, or they move through it too quickly. So oftentimes, we're actually trying to slow companies down. That may sound like the last thing you want to do, but the reality is if you move too fast and you go through containment too quickly, you're not even going to go back to square zero, you're going to go 3 or 4 days before that, because they're going to discover your backups, wipe or encrypt them, and put you in an even worse situation. So you have to get contained, and we have to support the company through that containment process. Next up, we're going to be remediating assets. There's going to be parallel processes running here. Are we restoring from backups? Are we just rebuilding? Are we doing both? Are we having to negotiate in parallel, right? Just because you negotiate with a cyber criminal doesn't mean you pay them. In fact, only about 28% of the interactions that we handle resolve in payment. Now, the key thing here is you don't want to decide that you need something from the actor, like a decryption key, on day 5 when you realize you need it. You actually want to be done negotiating. And at that point in time, what we call, inside baseball, called giving the threat actor the good news. It's actually good news for us, it's bad news for them, which is, sorry, we're not paying you. We found other ways to recover our data. And that means that the company is well into its restore process, it's well into its recovery process, and we're just helping wind down the actual process. By this point in time, hopefully the business interruption has ceased, they're back up and running, we get to shake hands and part ways and tell the classic joke that we hear every day, which is, Coveware, thank you so much for your help, we hope we never talk to you again.
Absolutely. So, Bill, I'm going to put you on the spot. If there's one thing you would tell here to everyone on what they could do to be ready, what would that be?
Practice. There is no solution other than practice. There's no magic bullet. There's nothing. You have to practice, and you have to do it regularly. There's a saying in this industry, I didn't come up with this term, but no one rises to the occasion in incident response. You fall to the level of your preparation. And we do this thousands of times a year. I can tell on the first phone call, just by listening for about 15 minutes, how well or how poorly this is going to go. And it's reflected in how well organized and prepared or not a company is. So practice and get into a rhythm of practicing.
That's awesome. In fact, 65% of customers who work with Coveware by Veeam and the team actually put you on a retainer. And that's the power of, one, the insights they bring in, but the work they do to help you stay protected every single day. Bill, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you, everybody.
With the addition of Coveware, we are there with our customers literally every step of the way. And now, I move to the last section, data intelligence. I talked already about Veeam's approach to AI, from creating better AI, better data resilience, and AI resilience, protecting the LLMs and where we are going, to pioneering AI insights from your backup data. I'm excited to launch the differentiated AI Copilot in partnership with Microsoft, Veeam's Copilot for Microsoft 365. And again, much better to show than talk. So please welcome back Sue Page from Microsoft and Brand Urban, who's the SVP of our cloud sales team. Sue, Brand, come on up. All right, come back up.
Hello again.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Anand, and it is great to be here at VeeamON in Fort Lauderdale. 2024, this is exciting, and a lot more sun than in Seattle where I live, so this is great, great venue. So as Anna was describing, I'm very excited to talk to you today about what Veeam is developing on AI and Copilot for our Veeam Data Cloud M365. And Copilot has blown up, if you'd say, in terms of lots and lots of recognition. Probably everybody's heard about it. So Sue, Microsoft, I heard you and Matthew talking about it. Anything exciting for Microsoft Build or anything you want to share?
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't heard of Microsoft Build, it's the developer conference that runs once a year. It happened last week. Huge, thousands of people attend in person and virtually. And there were 3 big announcements, I'd say, like lots of individual ones, but packaged up into 3 areas. One was obviously Copilot, the Microsoft Copilot, which is the personal productivity one. There was something called Copilot PC, which is this very exciting, super cool AI PC that's just been announced, and lots of sessions on that. And then the third one, which I think is the most pertinent for this session, was Copilot Stack, which is essentially the technology that enables developers and ISVs like Veeam to go away and build their own Copilots, essentially. And as I was saying earlier, Veeam is way ahead of the pack and has worked with us in, I'd say, the pre-launch days, and has been a really, really close partner with the technology team on that, so that you really are early to the table. And then, on just a quick personal anecdote, I know you were saying, Brant, that most people have heard of Copilot. I've worked at Microsoft for 20 years, so I've seen lots of different phases of the company, and I think it's fair to say we have gone through periods of time where customers haven't been beating down our door, shall I say. So the change and the wave of demand for an interest in Copilot is just mind-blowing. It's phenomenal. We are literally having customers coming to us. We're struggling to actually deal with the demand for information and the demand to kind of understand how customers can integrate all this technology into their companies. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it in my time at Microsoft. So for you guys to be launching this, your own Copilot, is super, super timely, and you're doing a great job on that. So
Thank you.
Great to see it.
Thank you. That's fantastic to hear. And again, thank you, Microsoft, for the partnership and helping accelerate our innovation in this space. So let's go ahead and dive in and look on the main screen what we're going to be seeing and talking through in terms of what's in our Copilot for Veeam. And again, this is a Veeam-based Copilot that we're developing for our users, customers, and the types of use cases that you really need to try to break through and get to action. What I love about this landing page is it really sort of represents what we're trying to do on AI, which is we're trying to bring insights, we're trying to make your jobs easier, and we're trying to get to action. In this space, it's very important to be able to get as fast to action as you can. And so what we're really trying to do is make that easy for you. So on the screen, you can see top left, sort of like what Rick showed earlier, very easy, how many users are covered or not covered. And then right next to it in the tile, you can see how that breaks down by the different M365 service. Whether it's some OneDrive or Exchange or SharePoint, you can see right there who is and who is not protected. Underneath it, you can see what's going on with all the policies. Yes, we like that green color, 100% SLA. But in the top right, this is where the AI is really starting to work and understand what's going on in your environment. This is the AI in sort of processing what's happening, and it's trying to alert the admin very early. There's some suspicious activities going on here. So let's bring Rick back in and show us how you can engage the Copilot to learn more and get to action.
Well, thanks, Brant and Sue. So I want to, first of all, get the AI Copilot engine warmed up, and I'm going to ask a very straightforward question. Are all of my users protected? Now, I should also highlight, this is a different Microsoft 365 environment than what I had shown earlier. This is, I believe, the first public preview of this technology. So I get a response, and it, for good news, it matches. That's a good start. And then I'm going to ask it the next question. Well, okay, I see that number, but which of those users do not have a backup at all? So specifically, not just how many, but which ones? So I can see pretty clearly I've got a couple of names, and every time you see usernames, you maybe have to have some reactions, okay? So I see these reactions, okay, that's not too bad, but then I'm going to ask this Copilot technology, based on this Microsoft 365 data, can we make suggestions on which backup jobs to add them to? So I know these people, but does this engine know these people? Well, guess what? This engine does. It's making a recommendation that Lori, the team Lori's, Megan and John are going to be in backup sales marketing, whereas Pat and Tim are going to go into retail. You know what? These insights are really starting to make sense. It's being very aware of what's going on in their critical Microsoft data account to make that decision. Now, here's a curveball. I'm asking two questions. How is my Microsoft 365 environment, and is there anything I should be aware of, okay? So it's one thing to say who's protected and who's not, but keep in mind that question, or those points that Brant identified may be some suspicious. So this gets really interesting. So Pat and Shizhong have some interesting characteristics. I want to draw your attention to Shizhong's on the top. And I know data, right? You as a backup admin, you know data. That is a lot of change rate. I don't care what you're doing. Something is up. So I'm going to get a little bit more details on Shizhong's account. So I'm going to ask this Copilot AI engine, tell me more. I'm kind of concerned. And what happens is, I see now that it's really specifically that 2,675 had their modified timestamps changed. Okay, so that really is confirming what I'm starting to think. You know, by the way, ransomware can happen on this type of data as well. So then I'm going to ask, okay, I'm starting to think in my recovery mind, when was the last backup for Shizhong? And that was June 3rd, 2024. That was yesterday. Now that's good. So that's meeting my SLA, which also matches that first panel of data. Okay, now you ready for something cool? I gotta hope this works. Let's start a restore. So what we're gonna do is take the context of that conversation, and it's going to generate a restore session to bring back Shizhong's data to that restore point. Brant, so this is wicked technology. This is cool.
I love it, Rick.
It's amazing.
Oh, I love it, Rick. So I love how natural it was, how in context the conversation was. You couldn't trick it out with the multiple questions, and it's getting the admin there to a restore action very quickly, trying to make it as fast as we can. So Sue, first preview.
Yeah, absolutely blown away. Amazing work. Well done, Anand team.
Well, thank you very much, VeeamON. Have a great rest of the conference.
You.
And
thank
back to you,
Brian.
Anand.
Thank you, Sue. Much appreciated.
Oh, thanks enough.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
And Rick, are you ready? You know, Demo Fest tomorrow. Tomorrow, main stage is all demos. Thank you very much for what you did. So team brings us nicely to our close. And I want to go back to where we started, which is the world runs on data. And that data is growing in incredible value. And it is growing in complexity. And it is coming under increasing threat by these sophisticated ransomware attackers. Keeping that data secure, protected, and always available is what is the need of the day. It requires data resilience. And Veeam's platform is purpose-built for data resilience, to power your company's data resilience with backup, security, recovery, freedom, and intelligence at its heart, at its foundation. We will earn your trust every single day, empowering your company's data resilience so you can keep your business running at every point in time. I again thank you humbly, because each of you, our customers, our partners, our influencers, legends, MVPs, vanguards, you are the reason we protect 550,000 customers across 150 plus countries globally. You are the reason Veeam is the #1 in data resilience, and we are actually pulling away from the pack. So with that, welcome to VeeamON. A lot of wonderful sessions across the days, both here live and online. I look forward to talking to many of you, but I want to end by saying thank you for your support, thank you for your business. Have a wonderful next couple of days, and I look forward to talking to you. Thank you. Have a wonderful VeeamON.